Hello and welcome to Community Report. I am Dare Ido. The people of Lagos Island are known for their vibrant lifestyle. Isale, as many know it, has some residential neighborhoods busy and fast-paced. The high-rise buildings in the central business districts also define how old the trading and commercial systems are in the entire state. Lagos Island plays host to many of Nigeria's historical sites. It is one of the few places where colonial footprints can still be traced. Buildings, traditions, and the economy form parts of the established sense of identity, which remains strong across Lagos Island. On this episode of the program, we visited Isale and other communities around where traditions are passed down and preserved with pride across generations. Lagos Island plays host to many Nigeria's historical sites. The reasons are not far-fetched. It is one of the few places where colonial footprints can still be traced. Buildings, tradition, identity have not totally faded. Lagos Island has a vibrant central business district. The district is known for high-rise buildings and heavy commercial activities. The island also sits many of the city's largest wholesale marketplaces. The popular Idumota and Balogun market, they're also tourist attraction of some sort. The main markets are located on the eastern side of the island, crowded and always busy. The Lagos Island market is a choice destination for shoppers who travel from far and near to get the best bargain and have access to a variety of products. Balogun Market is a place to buy fabrics, shoes, and all sorts of wares. The Lagos Island markets sprawl across so many streets, with residential buildings tucked within them. The growing population and increased demand for urban housing has taken its toll on the area, with many cases of building collapse in the past. Urbanization is sweeping away historical sites as well. Now some private organizations are stepping into the picture to preserve these buildings, artifacts, and endangered historical materials. Lagos Island holds a special place in Nigeria's history. Individuals and organizations are spearheading initiatives to teach, preserve, and propagate historical research. We caught up with one of them.
Hi, Sadari. Welcome to Loving Lagos.
Thank you.
Welcome to Eko House. And this wall is dedicated to the original owners of this building. We acquired the building in 2018, and that's the picture of it when it was built, 1939. This was it when we acquired it, and this is it now, being maintained by Loving Lagos Limited. Eko House is actually a beautiful edifice that holds a lot of historical events during the colonial era, and it dates back to 1939, built by a man named Joseph Akoni Oluwe.
Built in the 1930s, Eko House is restored to its full historical and cultural beauty. Some parts of the building have now been remodeled to create a library and souvenir shop.
So talking about the timelines of Lagos, actually, from 1472 to 1790, some of the events that are a landmark in the development of Lagos, they were recorded here that preceded the colonial administration. We could see that the population as of 1866 was 25,883 persons were taken off, calculated, and in 1881 it increased to 37,452. During this era, the signing of the anti-slavery treaty took place in 1852. These are pictures that shows how slaves were carted away in chains and bangles, fathers, mothers, children. You can see a baby on the back of the mother.
A lot of people come in here, and what you try to do is to make sure they get a good account of history. Yes. So how do you take them through this journey?
Okay, in as much as you want to give a good account of history, it's also important to note the areas of interest of your clients and customers. So sometimes we could spend more time just talking about the timelines of Lagos. Other times you have customers that are interested more in the cultural history, the indigenous practice of Lagosians. The festivals, like you see, we have some of the festivals outlined there. Here we talk about majorly the Eyo festival.
When people come in here, you take them through the history, and it depends on what they really
Their
want.
major interest.
So
yeah.
some of them would like the timeline, some of them will want the festival, some of them will want the cultural heritage and all. So you were talking about Eyo
Yes.
and the importance of Eyo.
Eyo.
So what other details do you think anyone who walks in here would like to hear or read about?
One of the beautiful part of the Eyo festival is the regalia of the Eyo. So we can see a beautiful picture here that shows the complete outfits of the Eyo. They are majorly clouded in white apparel, and this distinctive clothing is comprised of so many separate materials. The major difference that you can use to tell the difference of one Eyo group from another is their hat, also known as aga, and they are colored differently, differentiating one from the other. The iboju, which is used to cover the face, is made of ashoke. So you can see it here, the opambata, which is the staff that is used to either bless or correct, depending on the situation you meet the festival or the person coming in that clothing. The agbada used to cover the body, and the aropale. And the major significance of the aropale is believed to use to sweep away evil from Lagos State as they go about the community. So they wear it, and it's tied around the waist, and it's extended about 3 meters on the ground. And as they walk, it's used to wipe off the evil spirit and evil happenings of Lagos State, and blessings are ushered into the state. At the end of the festival, they burn it, and so that's just the significance of the Aropale.
I can see the years
Yes.
it's been in existence.
Over 300 years of the traditions have been practiced. Thankfully, I think when this building was built in 1938, we had honest men in the town that could build and build right. This building has been standing for over 80 years. Actually, we didn't do any alteration to the building other than maintenance. We acquired the property in 2018, driven by the passion of the visionaire is to preserve history. The only thing we would change a bit was the doors and the windows, but every other thing was just maintained, painted, and that's it. The walls are built with bricks. Very solid building. I can feel that.
If you're familiar with Lagos, this signature yellow bus needs no introduction. But this particular one has been redesigned to provide a level of luxury, different experience from the commercial ones you see every day on Lagos roads.
So here is the palace.
Away from Onikon House, we touched base with other custodians of history.
First of all, you said something about if you come to Isale, this is one of the places you need to come to. So why?
This is one of the places. The reason is because this is where you have the first-hand information of everything in Isale, because it is more or less like the place where the heritage are being preserved, the custom, the tradition of Isale people, and it is established by Isale elites. So you can come in and see into the building. So this is the frame for the present Oba of Lagos, Oba Ridwan Akeolu, and here is the brief biography of him. So we have the logo of the Isale descendant union. So these are some of the board of trustees and the executive committees. And we have the list of Obas of Lagos, the past Obas of Lagos up to date. So we have that list here and the years. So this is one of the festival that is peculiar to Isale Eko people. So we call it a Eyo festival. And this is a brief story, a brief history of Isale Eko. So, and from here, so if you look up now, you will discover that there is Aga. So that round heart is called Aga. So it's commonly used by the Eyo of Isale Eko. So this particular thing stand in form of the head. So while the red tie is tied at the neck. So and the staff of Eyo. Okay. So it is used to decorate to show that this place is more of cultural place.
So as you walk in here, you're already getting the cultural feel.
Cultural feel of Isale Eko people. And this particular hall, this particular office that you are, so this place is called Ebute Ero. The reason is because Ebute is more or less like a seashore. So everybody that is approaching Isale Eko, you have to come here, get your first-hand information or whatever information you need to know about Isale Eko. So that is why we call it Ebute Ero.
What's the plan for these rooms and the entire building, aside people coming here to get information? Are there other things that you plan to do with the building?
Yes, because when you get to the first floor, we are planning to establish an art gallery, an exhibition hall. So in case you have anything to exhibit, you can actually come here, book the space. So for a period of 1 month, 3 weeks, or thereabout. So you have the space to yourself. So exhibit whatever you want to exhibit there. And the last floor is designed for the executive, the conference hall, and media house. So at the last floor, we're proposing a media house so that will cover the community.
The population growth has thrown up the challenge of insecurity. In Isale Eko, there are local vigilante groups working to clean up the area's many security issues.
We are in charge of local security and as well as keep watch of the neighborhood. When insecurity started growing in Isale Eko community, the neighborhood saw the rise of indigents and non-indigents fomenting trouble. Some of them with guns, some wielded machetes, snatching people's bags. That gave birth to this group. The monarch and his chiefs have been supportive.
Traditional institutions play key roles in the preservation of culture, and this is closely linked to history.
So you're welcome to my palace.
Thank you very much.
As you can see, this palace you're just seeing a little bit of renovation taking place, that took place just about 2 years ago, because it has been built since 1700. So it's over 300 years old. And you can only find, I think, about 6 others in Lagos now, namely Onilegbare Palace, Obanikuro, Kusoko, Oloto, Ojora, Atebo, right? That still keeps this old edifice. The others has been rebuilt and, or renovated or refurbished, whatever. But this is the actual palace, right? This is the actual building that the first Vigilante of Lagos, was capped.
So if eventually you're going to renovate, refurbish, whatever word now, are you going to keep the architectural design in its originality, or are you going to just touch up?
Well, actually, we have a plan in motion already, right? Because I've seen some of my colleagues as well, my schoolmates, because normally we do have monthly meetings, the Old Boys Association, we go around all members' houses, being an host, whenever they come here, they always tell me, please don't knock this place down, because this is part of our heritage. It's supposed to be United Nations heritage site, because we have lots of them in Lagos, like I mentioned to you, that with the help of United Nations, right, we can actually, preserve all these, that tourists can come in from all over the world and say, we explain to them. Actually, you see this setting is where we offer prayers, right, every 9 days. We had one yesterday. This is where I sit. Well, when I have visitors, to attend to, or during the 9 days prayers, like I said to you, or any other ceremonies that's been performed in the palace. So, like I said, this is my seat. So nobody else can sit on it apart from me. All right. So you're welcome.
By the late 15th century, the area was dominated by the Benin Kingdom, which called it Eko from the late 16th century to the mid-19th century. At the time, the military and political power were resident in traditional institutions, and their influence stretched far beyond their palaces. Chief Ayodele says a lot has changed as time went by.
But present-day Lagos, when the British came, all the powers that be has been taken away from the Obas or the Obis or whatever, right? So before, even a king now has to go and beg, don't let me say beg, ask the government for something before he can do anything, right? Whereas in their own country, they left their own the way they want it to be. The queen is the head of the government. If a prime minister is being sworn in today, he has to go and get a permission from the queen. If a prime minister is being removed, he has to go and give the queen his resignation letter or removal letter or whatever. You understand? But yeah, it's all the other way around. So when you go into protocol now, they will even call a chairman of a local government before an Oba, which is totally wrong. Let us be sincere with each other. The traditional institutions are the ones at the grassroots. They are the ones that the people see every day. Politicians will come and go. You won't see, even an ordinary councillor will come here, beg for your vote, beg you, ask you, Babami, help me talk to your people, let them vote for me. After voting for him, he's representing my ward in Isale. The next thing, he has a flat in Lekki or a house in Lekki. He's living in Lekki. Was he voted for in Lekki? No, let us be honest with each other. Was he voted for? That's ordinary councillor. Not to talk about chairman before we go higher and higher and higher. Can they live in the constituency where they were being voted for? No. But the traditional institution can never leave that place. Governors will come, president will come and go. The Obas, the Obis, the Emirs, they will be there.
Chief Ayodele Oyekan, the son of the late Oba Adeyinka Oyekan, and the Bajulaye of Lagos, is not only in tune with the origin of his people, he is also a custodian of history. It is not only interesting to find pre-colonial structures in their original form, walk around the Oba of Lagos Palace, one will get a clear picture of how the security architecture of yesteryears was designed.
Coming down to answer us.
The palace of the monarch was surrounded by that of his white-capped chiefs, the warriors who prayed and protected the land. Lagos Island was home to the Brazilian Quarter of Lagos, where the majority of the slave trade returnees from Brazil settled. Till date, there's still a community of Brazilian descendants in Popoaguda, a part of Lagos Island.
This is the Afro-Brazilian.
Remy Da Costa, an Afro-Brazilian descent, is our guide into these aspects of the past, and it relates to modern culture.
This one tells you the history of Catholicism in Nigeria. This was the first one that was built, and this is the latest cathedral that we have. So this is the history of how Catholicism started in Lagos, Nigeria. The Afro-Brazilians were the ones who who practiced Catholicism. They were Catholics. They were mainly Catholics. They brought Catholicism back from Brazil. So this is Casa de Fernandes, also known as Ilojo Bar, and people call it Olaya House. So I think the house used to be owned by the Fernandes family, and then later on it was acquired by the Olayas. So that's why they call it Olaya House. So it was demolished in 2016 on the day of Ramadan. We don't have it anymore. The Brazilian quarters, Popaguda, is the only place in Nigeria where you have two cathedrals situated in it. You won't find that anywhere. This is the only community. We have the Anglican Cathedral and the Catholic Cathedral, Holy Cross Cathedral and the Christ Church Cathedral. So this is the history of Carnival in Nigeria. So what was brought back from Brazil is the Brazilian Bumba Meboy. This is the genesis of Carnival in Nigeria. That's why you see, this is the symbol of our community, the bull. And then when our ancestors came back, this is what they brought back. The Bumba Meboy, the Brazilian Bumba Meboy. They came back with horse, eshin, ugongo, ostrich. And then, later on, we started having carnival associations, but so far so good. This is the history anyway. So, and the first time carnival was done in Lagos, Nigeria, was sometime in the last 4 decades of the 19th century. This is the Agidigbo box. This Agidigbo. This is Agidigbo box. The Agidigbo music is a music that was adopted, by this community. It used to be an Ilaje music. In fact, it's still an Ilaje music, and Ilaje are, known for fishing, and they settle at the waterside, So back in those days, people go to the seaside and for relaxation, so they listened to this music and eventually they brought it back. This is the costume that we use for the Brazilian Carreta Carnival in Lagos Island and the Brazilian quarters, Popaguda. These are some of the costumes, You have them here as well. We have them here as well. So you see some of them here. So these ones, tells you the pain, the experience, those people went through, during the slave trade. So you can imagine these big iron, shackles, chains, on their neck, on their legs, on their arms, So this we have put in the cultural center, for people to understand, And these are some of the currencies that were spent back in the days. So we kept everything here in the cultural center.
The neighborhood in Popaguda still bears the mark of the past, but Remy says the old structures have given way to the new ones.
I live in a community that is known as the Brazilian Quarters, Popaguda. Popaguda is the biggest Afro-Brazilian settlement in West Africa. And the community is very big. Though we have other people from other parts of the country, in our community, but you will feel the presence, of the Afro-Brazilians, more in the community, through their food, their other traditions like the Carreta Carnival, and every other thing that relates to the Brazilian culture and tradition in Nigeria. From what we learned from our ancestors, after the abolishment of slave trade, they started returning, and it was sometime around 1854, downwards, and when they came back to Lagos, they settled at the eastern part of Lagos Island, known as well, they used to call it a wilderness. It was a wilderness, there was nothing here. So it was when our ancestors came in, they settled here, they developed the place, and the place became, known as the Brazilian quarters. And they also call it Popo Maru. And from the informations gathered, from our forebears, like those who came from the hinterland, when they come, they see the beautiful houses around, in the Brazilian quarters, and they say, Maru in Tibadele, so they call it Popo area of wonder, like Popo Maru, because they call it Popo Maru, so the aesthetic view of the community was very, very fantastic. Then, you see beautiful Brazilian architecture, the houses are bungalows, some are high-rise, like a story or two, but and they were wealthy when they came. They had money, and they taught the locals, how to do so many things. Taught them how to bake bread, sew dresses, make shoes, and they were artisans. They were experts, in their field. So the community, over the years, has become, with development, we have a lot of high-rise, we have a lot of high-rise buildings, all over the places. So you hardly see, the buildings with Brazilian architecture, like before.
Historic preservation is a cultural movement, and that seems to be gaining momentum in some parts of Nigeria. Although the efforts may seem all over the place now without cohesion, but as we have established, there's a renewed interest among the people of Lagos Island to preserve their identity and pass down the culture in a fast evolving world. And that's our show for today, everyone. You can watch this episode and previous ones on our YouTube channel. You can also follow the conversation on our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Thank you very much for watching. I am Daire Ido. We'll see you next time, and bye for now.